Hey Abby, man, today was hot. I think after yesterday having a nice rest day up in the mountains, kind of forgot that it was actually a really hot Giro. And yeah, personally kind of suffered, but then I think everybody found it really hot. I don't know how many bitters I drank, but would have been around 10 at least. It was so hot and thirsty out there. But yeah, what actually happened? Not all that much. It wasn't until really the last sort of 25k there were a few. I mean, there was, Floortje Makashi was away for a long time, but in terms of what our team did today, we were keen for a break, but it just wasn't the day for it, really. Soraya tried something in the last 30k, and then I followed up on that with what went afterwards, and it seemed really good. There was, a really strong group of 5 of us, and then, 1 or 2 riders bridged across at a time until there was around 1 from every team, and you'd think that would work, but really it's just kind of the same thing as the other days where all the teams want to be represented but not actually push a break. So yeah, that didn't go anywhere, but got some refreshments along the way. And actually, really sadly, I don't know, this has never happened to me before, but I just turned to look behind me and my sunnies just flew off my face. So I lost one of my favourite pair of sunnies out there on the road somewhere. So that was, a bit devastating. But anyway, came into the finish, and Soraya did an amazing turn on the front up the last sort of K of the climb, and when we turned right, the final corner, I can't remember whether it was right or left anymore. I came through, and that was our plan. That was our plan, for me to sort of sprint from the corner and then Chloe to take over whenever she could. And it was really close in the end with her and Blanca Vass. So not a bad day. But I feel like I still haven't cooled down. And we're in probably, I would rate it as the worst hotel of the week so far. And initially the room I was in, the aircon wasn't working, so I actually went and got one of those industrial fans that the teams use with when they set up the trainers for like warm-ups and cool-downs. Warm-ups usually for, say, like time trial days and stuff. I had one left in the truck, and I set that up in the room. I was gonna use that for the night, because last night didn't have aircon either, and I had the worst sleep ever. Even though we're up in the mountains, it was just so hot, and so not a good sleep, and I didn't want that to happen again. So I set up this fan, but then our Swanee sorted us out. We got a new room with us aircon that works. So in a nice cool room now, hoping for a good sleep before the last stage tomorrow. We'll see what that brings. I'm a bit nervous about the climb, the 6k climb. I think it's around 6k's, in the middle of the race, around 70k in. I'm hoping that I can get over that and then help out with the finish. So I can't believe that it's the last stage already. It's been a hard tour, but it always just comes and goes so quickly, doesn't it? These things that you look forward to, and anyway, so I'll let you know how tomorrow goes and speak to you then. Bye.
Well, good evening again. Second last stage on the island today, and it was pretty hot. I think I went back to the car 5 times with as much bottles I could carry and as much ice I could carry to bring to all my teammates. And they needed it. Everybody needed this, and you could also see some tiredness in the bunch. It was again a really fast race, and this whole Giro, there's no early breakaway or something. It's just on from the start every single day. And Yeah, you start feeling it, but it's also crazy. Like, one day to go. I almost can't remember when we did the TT. Well, I didn't, so that's why I can't remember, but it feels like such a long time ago. And yeah, we're gonna try to finish it up really good. So my team ended up with, I think they were still with 4 in the final. And yeah, they tried to lead out Ruby, but it was a hard finish. And yeah, they did end up pretty well in the end. But everybody's a bit tired. But yes, one more day. We had a nice dinner today. Our chef made some really nice food, and we had a cake. And also every day we got like the daily plan for the next day in the group app. And tomorrow there was also on the list after the finish, it is pizza time. It was like in big letters, pizza, pizza, pizza. So I think that will definitely give us some motivation for tomorrow. And it's just also nice to have some fun things in between. So yeah, let's go for it and ride as fast as we can to the pizza place that will wait for us in the final. And then yeah, so today I already packed everything because tomorrow after the race we have to hurry a little bit because everybody had to go to the airport and the stuff has to go back to the boat. And yeah, we have a whole travel plan. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, the people that are doing all the logistics, it's like a big puzzle sometimes. We have like so many people that has to go everywhere. I'm happy I don't have to do that. I just have to ride my bike, and that's hard enough. So yeah, one more night with my roomie. With Georgia Baker on the room. It's always quite weird when you spend so much time together and then one more night. So yeah, let's kick some ass tomorrow. Supper one more day and then back home. Also can't wait to sleep in my own bed. And always the thing that I do when I come home is definitely have my sandwich with chocolate sprinkles and the other one with cheese. So another good present for myself. Well, good night. And yeah, one more day.
We were welcomed into this episode of the Wheel Talk podcast with an audio diary from Sarah Roy, whose team finished second yesterday with Chloe Dygart. And we also heard from Nina Kessler of Jayco-AlUla in her stage 8 audio diary. Now to Hannah and I for the final stage of the Giro Donne. Lauretta Hanson checked in before the stage, so before Hannah and I dive into stage 9, let's hear from Lauretta.
So we're here. We made it. I'm on the bus on our way to the final stage, Giro Donne. Yeah, it feels like ages ago that we started with a very chaotic prologue on the mainland. But yeah, obviously a lot has happened. We've had some highs with a stage win with Elisa Longo Borghini and a stage podium with Gaia, and currently third GC, which we're hoping to keep, and then also some big lows, like we lost Elisa in a nasty crash, and then also Lisa on one of the following stages. So we're down to 5 riders, but yeah, the mood is high. I think everyone's ready for the last day. Yesterday was an absolute scorcher. I think my Wahoo read an average of 38 degrees and a maximum of 43. So, you know, when it's like riding in a hairdryer, really, and especially if you're in the middle of the bunch, there's no air, and you can't really drink enough to stay on top of it. So, you know, everyone's tired, everyone's feeling it, and when you're in conditions like that, like, mistakes happen. There's fatigue and heat. Yeah, so the last stage, like, you can't let your guard down, because anything can happen, and the final podium is still never set. So we're going into this last stage really as one unit, ready to protect Gaia and see what we can do on the last day. Like, I think she's still 30 seconds down on second place and only a minute up on fourth. So anything can happen. Like, there were some sneaky little attacks yesterday, which, if they hadn't paid out, we could have put us in a very difficult position. But we were able to keep it all under control and keep Gaia in third there. So hoping to maintain it today, and then enjoy some pizza and ice cream, and maybe a quick trip to the beach at the end. It's going to be, I think, a lot of relief and a lot of joy when we finish this tour. So but I had another question overnight, so I wanted to answer that one as well. I was asked how I feel about cameras around crashes. Like, we had some nasty crashes yesterday as well. Like I was saying, mistakes happen, especially in the heat. And how do you feel when the cameras linger around the riders? They're like, obviously it's a pretty devastating moment for some riders. Like, we saw it yesterday with Cav. Obviously the world's watching and they want to see that moment. He was also going for a record-breaking 35th victory, and then all of a sudden he's crashed and broken his collarbone and he's out. Like, that's a big story. That's a big moment, but you can see in his eyes the devastation there, and that's quite a hard moment. And I'm sure he probably didn't want cameras around in that moment. It's part of the story of the Tour de France. It's part of the story of racing, and it's the same for every rider. Like, for me also, I crashed in the spring. I'm Australian. My family is a long way from Europe. Like, there's nothing they can do, and if they see that, for them, obviously, it's also quite stressful. Like, they don't know what happened. Like, the Tour de France, they have a lot of coverage. I'm sure Cav's family could see that he was okay. He was in the back of an ambulance. He had good care. Whereas for me, in the spring, I crashed 2 minutes into the stage. The last my family would have seen was me screaming on the floor. And when you're a long way from home, there's nothing you can do. There's no way you can help. In that respect, I think, riders do need their space. You have to respect that moment for the rider and their privacy, their pain that they're feeling at that moment. But it's also part of the story of the racing, and as a viewer, I can understand the need to see that. So I feel like most media teams respect that. But I also think sometimes they don't need to focus on it so much. But hopefully, today that won't happen. Hopefully everyone gets through safely, and we can make it into Olbia with the 5 riders we've got left, and go and enjoy some ice cream as a team, and look back on a good Giro Donne.
Hannah Barnes, you ready? It's over. It's done. We made it.
We did. It's not been too bad, though. I definitely preferred this side of the race to the racing side of it.
Especially because word from the ground is that this was a really, really fast Giro.
Yeah, this racing is pretty fast generally now, so I can believe that.
It has stepped up quite a bit in the last 2-3 years, would you say? Definitely.
I think the equipment's probably got quite a lot to do with that. Everyone's pretty clued on with aerodynamics and tyres and tyre pressures, so it's really got quite a lot to do with it, and everyone just wants to race fast, it seems.
And support, team support, coaching, nutrition, all of that stuff.
Yeah, like especially like Uno X, the support we have is just great. We have an aerodynamics guy that tells us what pressures to use and all of that, and then we've got a nutritionist that tells us what to eat every day, on the bike, off the bike, breakfast, lunch, dinner. So yeah, it's just the progression of the sport just going up, which means the speed's going up.
Crazy. And today was a super fast day. Unfortunately, we've made it to the final stage of the Giro and there was not a single breakaway day, but today was a sprint. And I was chatting with Megan Jastrab of DSM Firmenich yesterday, and she said that yesterday doesn't count as a sprint because the climbs were actually really hard. And she would consider today the second sprint of the race. And that was the plan for DSM, was to try to hold it together for a sprint. It was also the plan of UAE team ADQ. And what an awesome win for Chiara Consoni. She also won, fun fact, she won the final stage of last year's Giro too.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
She just likes to wait until the end, just to like leave on a high.
Yeah, it's because you go home, you're like, oh yeah, I won a stage of the Giro. But if you win stage 1, you're like, did I?
That was so long
time ago now. Yeah.
Yeah, she said after the race that she really didn't feel good for the whole thing. The team did a lot of work to keep her in the race just for this stage, and then did a lot of work today to deliver her to the line. And she dedicated the win to, unsurprisingly, Marta Bastianelli, who's, as we talked about yesterday, is her final race today. Kind of a pretty crazy day that it's Bastianelli's last race, Annemiek's last ever Giro stage.
Wow, there are 2 big names in the peloton that have just done a lot of last days. So yeah, I was actually pretty happy to see Consoni won. Just even though it would have been really cool if Bastianelli won, but it's probably just not possible right now. So yeah, just to have a UAE rider, Italian UAE rider is pretty cool. And to be able to dedicate it to Bastianelli is really nice.
I think there's something pretty beautiful in the fact that that Consoni's an Italian and she's of this younger generation that's coming up now. And Bastianelli was still a massive part of the victory, like being the captain on the road for that team. So even though she didn't win, it's like passing the torch kind of to the next generation, helping Consoni get this win. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, Italy have always had a huge depth of talent. Like, they're always at Worlds, and their selection for Worlds is just so hard because they're all just so good. So to have like Consoni, I think it's the first year that she's at UAE, but she would have had Bastianelli just guiding her through those races and showing her the ropes. So yeah, it's cool that she was able to win on Bastianelli's last day in the peloton.
And she's had a rough year, Consoni. She's crashed a lot. She's had a lot of injury and illness this year. So this is kind of her first huge result of the year, even though last year, pretty much all year, I think that she was up and about in the top and riding pretty impressively all year. But it's been a bit of a slower start to the year for her.
Yeah, I think because last year she just had such a breakout year. Like she was winning a lot of races. So she would have wanted to have done that this year as well, like just started where she finished. So yeah, she'll be happy. Like this would have been like almost a bit of a relief winning today.
She pretty much all spring, which is where she really does pretty well in the flat spring races. She was second at Dor-Vlaanderen. She was third at Chal de Pries, and she won one of the smaller races in Belgium. But other than that, she was pretty quiet and just raced Burgos. She DNF'd stage 4. I'm pretty sure she crashed really bad on that stage, and then she was not really anywhere at Ride London. Didn't finish nationals. So after that start to the year, I think this will feel really great for her.
It's good, and it's just like it's nice to have like a little bit of a confidence boost when you get to July, because you've got still quite a lot of the season still to go. So she can kind of, I don't know if she'll go to the Tour after this, but yeah, it'll be like a nice little, she'll have a breather after the Giro, and then she can build up again and just know that she can still win races.
We have another audio diary from Nina Kessler from today's stage, so let's hear that really quick.
Well, and then the Giro is over. And then if you look back, it actually feels so long ago when we did the TT. Again, it was like a really hot stage, but we did really well. We tried to put Letizia on the front as good as possible. We lost each other a little bit in the final, but I think she became 8. We hoped for a little bit more, but yeah, it is how it is, and it was hard. And I'm happy I have all the races in the legs now for the coming races. After the finish, it's also kind of a release, and everybody's happy we did it and it's over. And like I said yesterday, we had pizza. And then at one point, the DS walked in and said, "Sorry girls, I need to go, I need to catch a flight." And I was asking him what time is your flight actually going? We have 5:25. And I was like, mine is at the same time. So we had to rush a bit. I had a really, really quick shower. Well, and maybe you hear it now. I'm at the airport in München. So yeah, we had to rush, and a little bit ashamed that I couldn't say bye to like the staff and the girls really, really good. But it was a good stage race, and I'm happy. Yeah, I'm also a bit happy it's over, because of course it was hard, but I definitely noticed that I become a lot stronger. Now while I'm back home, can't wait to sleep in my own bed tonight. That's always a good thing. And then I'm home for like a week, and then I do a race in Germany next week, 3 days off, and then go to the tour. So yeah, that was it. I hope you all enjoyed the stories. Sometimes I was a bit tired, so not a lot of good stories maybe, but I enjoyed doing it. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next races. Thank you all for listening and for listening to my stories, and see you soon. Bye.
On that note, how hard is it for this turnaround? You did both races last year, and there was a lot of kind of chatter about what that was going to do, how people were going to be able to recover in between races. It's about 2 weeks. So how did you find the turnaround?
I didn't find it too hard. I think for me, I only found out I was doing the tour about 5 days before the tour started. So I didn't really have to think about it too much. But I mean, it's about 12 days, I think. So it is long enough. And generally the Giro is not super, super tough. Like you don't come out of the Giro just really tired. Mainly the Giro is weird because there's no time limit for us, and last year was actually it was a hilly Giro, but for me it was just like doing just 5-hour training rides sometimes, because I didn't have to. There was days when I was like 5k in, there was a gruppetto already, and it was like just a fun ride. But yeah, the turnaround isn't too hard. I mean, if you're a GC rider, then I imagine it's a lot harder. But for me, if you was just kind of on a bit of a holiday, it wasn't as hard. And I was a lot more tired coming out of the tour than the Giro, just because the tour's pretty hard, because we have time limits, which, yeah, it's stressful. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like when you're watching the men's tour, like a lot of people think that the sprinters get days off on the climbing days, like the big GC mountain days, but they're probably having a worse day than the GC riders. So yeah, we got to experience.
Everyone who's watched Netflix Unchained has seen Fabio Jakobsen.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the best. That was literally the best episode of the entire series, or the best moment of the entire series, was that, like, will he make time cut, will he not make time cut?
Yeah, but we had it last year. I remember the stage where Van Vleuten went, the second to last stage, there was a big group of us, and we'd lost quite a lot of time already, but we had a 25-kilometer valley road, and we got, like, there was 50 of us just going full through and off, because we had to make time back so we could actually make it to the finish. And it was honestly like one of the best experiences I've ever had racing, because you were just like, we were there, we had one job, and we just had to go as hard as we could in the valley road, so then we could like just kind of chill on the climb. So
that's amazing. Well,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
For Annemiek, she's just won her 4th ever Giro Donne, and she's going back to altitude, headed back to Livigno to prep for the tour. Classic Annemiek. I think she maybe recovers at altitude.
I think it's like, for me, altitude is quite personal, and she's had years of figuring it out, and she clearly has worked out that altitude is good for her. So
she basically pioneered altitude training in the women's peloton.
It's taken off. It's unreal. Like, teams are just doing altitude training camps.
I saw Demi this morning.
Oh yeah,
she rode right by my front door. I was like, hello, you're going the wrong way. This road ends.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go there. That's funny.
I almost was like, can I talk to you for the podcast? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
So huge victory for Van Vleuten. She went into this race, and there was a lot of questions about her form and how she was going to do. Given that the race didn't look too bad in the beginning, it was kind of like you picked Voss, I picked Elisa Longo-Borghini. It feels like so long ago now that Elisa crashed out of the race, and Antonia Niedermeyer, there was like some serious drama throughout the whole week. And yeah, now, I don't know, now that we're looking back on it and Annemiek has her 4th Giro victory, it's crazy to think that before the Rio Olympics, she wasn't really a GC contender at all. That was only 7 years ago. Yeah, and in the last 7 Giros, she's won 4. She was in the pink jersey and crashed out in 2020. Broke her wrist, still came back and raced Worlds. And then finished 3rd behind Anna van der Breggen and Elisa Longo-Borghini in 2017, the year after the Olympics, and didn't race in 2021 because of the Olympics. So pretty much since she set her sights on the pink jersey, she's been the rider of the race. The only rider that's ever been able to kind of challenge her for that is Van der Breggen, but she won, in 2021 when Van Vleuten wasn't even there. So I think it's pretty crazy that in 2024 we're not going to have Van Vleuten lining up for the Giro,
which is going to make the race it's going to make it exciting, I would say, because it's going to make it close racing again. So I'm looking forward to it. And the Giro, like, it's kind of, a lot of people always threaten, like, it's not going to be a race next year. It's not professional. It shouldn't be a World Tour race, but it's always just like a big goal for a lot of riders. So I'm looking forward to next year. It's going to be good.
All right. Well, Hannah, it's been amazing having you on this week. I wonder if we can wrangle you for some Tour de France dailies as well, because that'd be pretty cool.
I'd say so. I can actually watch all of them. All of the stages probably, so I have a bit of a better idea what's going on. Yeah,
it's a big deal, the tour. Thanks everyone for listening. It's been amazing doing these, and I mean the biggest thanks ever to our audio diarists. It's really hard to keep track of racing all day and then having to send an audio diary to me. And I'm just insanely grateful to the people that signed up for that. And we have some really exciting names lined up for the tour as well. Ashley Moon-Passio, Jess Allen. We've got a really great mix of people for the tour. So if you liked these Giro dailies, don't worry. They're going to be back and better than ever at the Tour de France Femme, and I'll be on the ground, which will be wild. Hannah, this has been great. Let's close out this episode with one of my favorite riders, an absolute legend. She finished 4th in the general classification after a massive fight. Veronica Ewers.
All right, Veronica here. Finished the Giro Donne stage 9 in Olbia. I'm not saying that correctly, but yeah, it was very, very hot, and it was a tough one. But the team did such an amazing job. Ended up getting 1 second back on the bonus sprint, and that got me up to 4th on GC. So massive for the team, and it was a really good first Giro for myself, and the team did really well. And hoping that everybody can get some much needed recovery and cool down, because it was over 30 degrees today. Woo! JK, it was over 40 today.